Well, hello again. 2018. And I've been away from my YouTube channel for months now, 6, 9 months maybe. That's for a variety of reasons. One, I had other things to do, social media, keeping on with my books. Both will be published this year. It's on schedule now. And working hard in the garden and things like that and observing what's going on and marvelling at what's going on, to be honest. What a state we're in politics. We're only 3 weeks into the new year and, well, it feels as if it's already halfway through. Remember the start? Mrs. May was going to have a Brexit cabinet, a showdown. Let's decide where our stance is. Outcome? No one knows. You're not being told. Unless the Daily Mail or the Daily Express or the Telegraph or some other of their colleagues know, but nobody knows. And then, of course, suddenly came along the great David Davis, the modern comedian of British politics. And he said, hang on a minute. He sent an email or a letter to Mrs. May and said, do you know what these terrible EU people are doing? They are plotting a no-deal scenario. And of course the papers picked it up, as usual. But I thought that is what Mrs. May and the Brexiteers have been saying for a year. No deal is better than a bad deal. So what's going on? Who are they trying to kid? Anyway, we move on from there. We then had Davis and Hammond going to Germany. And there they said, hey, you Europeans, you better tell us what sort of deal you want. You're not telling us. Tell us what sort of deal you want as Europeans. They're not leaving. It's not their problem. It's not their problem. They are quite happy. Single market, customs union, doing well, economic growth much, much higher than the UK's. Of the G20, we are now number 19th in the growth league. It's not their job. What are we going to do? And then we went on from there to Macron came along and he said, there's a lot of misunderstanding or untruths, or you're not saying the full story to the British people. And he said that to Mrs. May directly. You cannot have your cake and eat it. You're either in or outside the single market. And this is the message for Jeremy Corbyn as well, by the way. He needs to wake up seriously to the issues and the problems he's confronting his party with needlessly. But I'll come to that in a later video. So, has the message gone back? I'm not sure. Because who came along in the last week? You could trust him, couldn't you? Boris. Troubled and worried that he might have gone on the wrong boat in terms of the whole issue of Brexit. And he said, we still need a good relationship. We are good Europeans. In fact, why don't we have a bridge? Why don't we have a bridge between Dover and Calais? Well, I don't know whether you crossed on a ferry from Dover to Calais. I wouldn't want to travel in a car across a bridge for those 22 miles. But then he wasn't finished. He then went further on and said, remembering the problem he has with the £350 million on the bus. Remember that one? He's now telling Mrs. May, let's spend more money on the NHS. Well, I agree with that. But do you think he's saying and doing that for altruistic reasons? There is something in the back of his conscience, in the back of his mind that's troubling him. There are too many things that I have said will come back to haunt me over the next few months. So we're in crisis times, really. And it doesn't feel like a crisis, but it is. Anyone who can predict what happens to British politics in the next 6 months is very clever. We can't even predict what will happen next week. We couldn't even predict what's happened in the last 3 weeks. The CBI have come along and told Mrs May, hey, get your act together. We want to know where we're going. We want to be in the single market and the customs union. The TUC have said the same thing. And the TUC is telling Corbyn for him too to get his act together. Now, that's where we're at today. Interesting times. The withdrawal bill goes to the House of Lords. There will be amendments there. This is not going to disappear. And then there's the issue of should we have a no-deal referendum? That's not going to disappear. That's not going to go away. Why? One vote 18 months ago did not end democracy. We have a sovereign parliament. And by the way, it's a high time that our MPs had a bigger backbone and acted in the interest of our country. And the Tory people in particular, they are there hanging on, desperate to try and find a way through so that the Tory party can keep united, so that Mrs May government can keep together, and that they can keep this terrible man, Corbyn, out of number 10. I actually think, and if Corbyn wakes up, he's doing a better job himself. I voted Labour. I left the Labour Party in 1981. I voted Labour last time in Gower. Why? A, to defeat the Tory. B, it was the best way, I thought, to fight Brexit. Well, I can tell Jeremy Corbyn, he's letting me down. He's not going to fool me again. Now look, that's enough preaching, isn't it? Which is my style. Anyway, welcome to my abode, as Top Cat used to say. I'm now going to be back in business, a lot of videoing on Wales, on Labour, on Brexit, on Trump. Well, there's a topic, we better have got into that one. Oh, I'd forgotten about that, by the way. He was coming, wasn't he, in early February, to open this new embassy they have. But he's done a bunk on that, as on so many other things. Anyway, enjoy the week. No one knows what's ahead, even tomorrow, in our personal lives, in politics, for sure. And a person I admired greatly and knew very, very well in the late 60s and the early 70s, as Harold Wilson used to say, never forget it, because it's so true. A week is a long, long time in politics. Cheerio.